I, a 32-year-old woman, have been with my husband, Todd, 33, for 3 years. He has a tween son from his late wife. Todd is quite close to his sister, Monica, 35. Their mother has passed away, and Monica has essentially stepped in. She's pleasant towards me, but I find her a bit controlling, especially regarding Todd. This wasn't a major issue until after I became pregnant. Once we found out the baby's gender, a boy, Monica insisted on naming him Tommy. However, I refused because I had already chosen a name, which Todd liked. He suggested we might let Monica call them Tommy, but I objected and asked her to respect my role as the mother. She agreed. As usual, Monica is hosting Christmas this year and invited Todd and me. I planned to attend until I discovered she hung a stocking labeled Tommy for my son. Upset, I confronted her and refused to attend the dinner unless she removed the stocking or used the actual name. Todd argued with me afterward, accusing me of ruining a family tradition and overreacting. He insisted that I couldn't dictate what Monica does in her home. Despite his pleas, I stood firm unless she removed the stocking. Philip, Monica's usually friendly husband, called to express his concern, mentioning Todd's distress over potentially missing the family event. He emphasized how this could ruin it for everyone, including the children, like my stepson who loves spending holidays with his cousins. Todd and I haven't spoken much since, mostly communicating through Philip. I'm feeling guilty, wondering if I overreacted. Am I in the wrong? I never asked Monica to put up a stocking for my son. Also, I'm curious if Tommy has any significant meaning for her, like a lost child or relative, or if she simply prefers the name. Her insistence on naming my child and Todd's lack of support are troubling. I told her that since there's no Tommy, she won't be seeing my child. If she continues, I threaten to call her Blanche constantly, emphasizing my right to choose names as I please. This is a power play. Your husband's sister is using this situation to assert control, signaling to you that Todd will always side with her. Now that you are expecting his child, she's making it clear that she's the one in charge. I suggest you start planning for the birth without including your husband, as he might allow his sister to dominate the delivery room and control everything. I wouldn't be surprised if your husband uses the name Tommy around his sister-in-law to avoid conflict. At this point, unless your husband stands up for you and supports you fully, I recommend considering leaving this family dynamic. Otherwise, your sister-in-law might end up overstepping her bounds even more after the baby is born. You need to establish boundaries before the baby arrives, as these people will likely ignore your wishes. I suspect your husband might even let his sister name your son Tommy at the hospital while you're recovering from childbirth. It's baffling how he doesn't seem to realize that he's married to you, and this is your child, not his sister's. If I were in your shoes, I'd be blunt about the stress your husband and his sister are causing you, even mentioning it to your doctor during appointments. You should tell your husband that you're done interacting with his family until his sister seeks help for her obsession. If she wants a child named Tommy, she should consider having another child or adopting. However, the real issue here is your husband. He needs to support you and tell his sister to back off. Regarding another family matter, our nearly adult daughter, Kayla, has been asking for a laptop. Money has been tight, but my wife and I saved up to buy it for her for Christmas. I was excited to give it to her. However, the other day, I found Kayla upset, my wife in a bad mood, and our teenage son, Martin, looking pleased. In private, my wife vented about Kayla, calling her ungrateful and suggesting we return her gift. She explained that she and Martin played a prank on Kayla. They told her that instead of a laptop, she'd get gift cards to various stores, none of which sold laptops. This was because, they said, she wasn't ready for one. Kayla, understandably upset, confirmed this with my wife, who added, "Maybe next year." This made Kayla more upset, especially after my wife laughed at her reaction. Kayla called my wife a jerk. My wife believes Kayla's response to the prank revealed her true nature. However, I pointed out that we had previously told Kayla we couldn't afford a laptop, and she understood. This situation seems to have been handled poorly, creating unnecessary tension and hurt feelings. It appears that the problem arose from Kayla knowing we had the money for the laptop, but supposedly chose not to buy it. I questioned my wife about her intentions with this prank and criticized her for involving Martin in such childish behavior. Despite her anger, I insisted on not returning the laptop. I also made sure my wife informed Kayla that it was all just a prank. Although Kayla apologized for calling my wife a jerk, she expressed how hurtful the prank was. My wife, however, refused to apologize and maintained that Kayla didn't deserve the laptop. Martin did apologize for his part in the situation. To add context, my wife is Kayla's biological mother. She has a history of playing pranks on both children. While Martin usually finds them amusing, Kayla does not, leading to arguments between her and my wife. This often results in my wife becoming frustrated with me for defending Kayla. This behavior from my wife is mean-spirited. She deliberately upset her daughter with the prank, and then became angry when Kayla reacted negatively. This is not just a harmless joke, it's a form of bullying. My wife's refusal to stop these pranks, despite Kayla's clear disapproval, is a serious issue. Our family dynamics seem challenging, and my wife's actions towards Kayla are particularly concerning. Kayla, now nearing adulthood, may soon choose to distance herself from such treatment. Regarding another family matter, my siblings and I, along with our families, spend Christmas at our parents' house. It's a hectic but fun few days, with everyone opening gifts together and the kids enjoying a big sleepover with their cousins. My mom loves having everyone home, and we all contribute to make it a great experience. Last year, my brother married Sally, who has a preteen daughter, Mindy. It was their first Christmas with us, and they seemed to enjoy it. On Christmas Eve, all the kids slept in the finished basement. We repeatedly instructed them not to open gifts without us, and to wake us up when they were ready. After setting up the gifts under the tree, we eventually went to bed. The next morning, I woke up early and headed downstairs. Upon entering the living room, I discovered a mess. Half of the gifts were unwrapped, and several had been torn from their boxes. Mindy was playing with some of the toys, most of which weren't even hers. She can read, and all the gifts were labeled, so she knew this. Shocked, I gathered my brother, Sally, and the rest of the adults. Sally was extremely embarrassed, and my mom was visibly upset. The other kids hadn't woken up yet, so we tried to fix what we could while Sally spoke with Mindy. Unfortunately, some toys were completely broken, and not all belonged to Mindy. Thankfully, not everything was damaged, and the kids didn't notice the damaged boxes. However, my nephew, my sister's son, was saddened by his destroyed gift and had to wait for a replacement. Sally and my brother compensated everyone for the damages. Mindy didn't open gifts with everyone else, but joined in the festivities later. She apologized but kept making excuses, saying she didn't want to wait and was curious about the other gifts. As we're preparing to visit my parents again this year, I suggested in the group chat that we should lock the living room door or put a gate around the tree to prevent access. I didn't mention any names and said it was a precaution to deter all the kids. Sally and my brother became upset, accusing me of treating Mindy like a baby or an animal. I clarified that it was a general precaution, not a punishment for Mindy. They felt I was being too harsh, but I maintained that it was to avoid a repeat of last year's incident. Mindy doesn't have autism or ADHD, and even if she did, it wouldn't excuse her actions, as my daughter has ADHD and my sister's kids are on the spectrum. Yet they understood the rules. While I don't believe Mindy acted with malice, she was still young, and I think precautions are necessary. My parents agree with me, but my brother is upset that I influenced them. I don't see myself as the idiot in this situation. Taking precautions isn't just about Mindy, though it partly is, considering she caused last year's issue. It's about managing the impulsivity common in small children. Locking the door or putting a gate around the tree seems a reasonable measure to prevent any child from being tempted by unopened presents. Sally and my brother seem to be missing the point. It's not about punishing Mindy, but about preventing a repeat of last year's problems. It's baffling why they would object to a simple preventive measure instead of risking the same issue again. You're suggesting that the living room door gets locked overnight, a measure that doesn't need to be explained to the kids. If they stay in bed, they won't even know about it, and there's no need for them to feel shamed. Everyone will understand why these locks are in place. Hasn't your brother ever heard the saying, "Once bitten, twice shy"? It's bad enough having one Christmas ruined. Taking precautions is far better than simply hoping it won't happen again and then facing another ruined holiday. It's not worth the risk when a simple precaution can eliminate it. Yes, this may show some mistrust, but it's earned. In our family, my wife and I usually gift our mothers and sisters jewelry for Christmas. I'm particularly close to my younger, unmarried sister and enjoy picking out her jewelry. This year, my brother got married, and our family contributed to his wife's bridal jewelry, an expensive pearl and diamond set. I hadn't planned on getting her anything more than a few small items for Christmas after that. However, she announced her desire for rubies or a red stone for Christmas at Thanksgiving. Neither my mom, mother-in-law, nor my wife's sister have ever made such demands. After this, my wife and I decided my new sister-in-law isn't getting any jewelry. Things worsened when my brother came to inspect the jewelry, saying his wife wanted something more colorful than pearls, and specifically a red stone to match her Christmas outfit. After hearing this, my wife left the room, and my brother and I ended up having a heated argument. He suggested getting her a purse instead of jewelry, but I decided they would receive no gift from us due to their behavior. I told my brother to start the tradition of gifting his wife jewelry, starting with rubies, which he said he couldn't afford after the wedding. Following the fight, my brother and sister-in-law are not attending my parents' Christmas because of me. My mom expressed sadness but didn't pressure me to buy gifts for my sister-in-law, who now claims my side of the family dislikes her due to not buying her expensive gifts. My brother has threatened to cut ties with me unless I apologize, but I'm considering that to be a relief at this point. Am I the idiot for not including my sister-in-law in expensive gifts? Last year, my brother got us matching pajamas, rubies for Christmas. It seems extravagant. I don't believe I'm the idiot here. My brother seems to want to take advantage of an established Christmas tradition to avoid buying an expensive gift for his wife. I've rejected that notion, and now he's looking for someone to blame. I get the impression that you may be part of a community where it's common for families to give expensive jewelry as gifts, as evidenced by the family buying bridal jewelry. However, you should give someone a gift because you want to, because the recipient will appreciate it, and because it makes you feel good about giving it. Your sister-in-law received an expensive gift, but indicated it wasn't good enough and demanded something better and more costly. When you refused, she showed her true colors, which are apparently red. It's important to believe people when they show you who they are. If you don't put a stop to this now, you might find yourself buying her increasingly extravagant gifts, like a hope diamond, every year. If your brother believes you should buy his wife jewelry, then why hasn't he reciprocated by buying your wife jewelry? After all, she's his sister-in-law, just as his wife is your sister-in-law. You got matching pajamas, not expensive jewelry, which hardly seems like a fair exchange unless those pajamas were adorned with real gems. In response, I would be petty enough to give your new sister-in-law exactly what your brother gave your wife in the past, perhaps matching ruby-colored pajamas. It seems you're receiving the best Christmas gift of all, the gift of silence from an entitled brother and sister-in-law. We're all 35 or older, and for almost 15 years now, my friends and I have had holiday parties where we each bring a dish. I always bring a green bean casserole, which is a simple recipe I found online a few years ago. Everything was fine until Amy joined our group. After tasting my casserole, which was apparently overhyped, Amy claimed she could do better and took over the casserole duty. Her version didn't impress. and it was gently suggested that I resume making it. Amy took this personally, and for years has texted me after parties to express her offense at my continued preparation of the dish and to criticize its taste. She has even accidentally brought her own green bean casserole several times. This Thanksgiving, Amy snapped when someone complimented my casserole. She accused everyone of pandering to me, claimed I was out to get her, and suggested that everyone hated her family because her recipe had been passed down for generations. She then stormed out. We all discussed the incident afterwards, and I revealed that this had been ongoing for years, even showing her texts. Everyone was surprised, noting that this behavior seemed out of character for Amy and wondering if something else was going on. To my knowledge, the issue is only with the casserole. We get along fine otherwise. I, along with Amy's husband and my husband, met for coffee to discuss the matter. I was told it was all a misunderstanding, and that Amy's struggles with depression justified her actions. When I asked how I could help, Amy accused me of trying to manipulate her, something her therapist had apparently warned her about. We ended our conversation there, as we were getting heated in public, and haven't talked since. When our group chat began planning Christmas dishes, Amy made a point of saying that I should make the casserole. I accused Amy of hating the casserole, but she denied it, claiming that I was making more out of a misunderstanding than necessary. When I tried to express my viewpoint, everyone told me not to take things too seriously and to sympathize with Amy, who was going through a rough patch. To me, it's evident that either something about me or the casserole has been causing Amy a great deal of turmoil over the years. Despite this, she refuses to discuss it with me, insisting that I never listen to her. Now I have no intention of making the casserole, and I'm even considering skipping the Christmas party. My husband thinks it's unfair for me to miss out on the fun and believes I shouldn't exclude myself from the event. He mentioned that such a minor issue shouldn't ruin years of good memories with Amy and our friends. I understand how depression can impact someone, but I find it difficult to accept it as an excuse for all behavior. I'm confused and unsure why I shouldn't take this situation seriously. Am I the one in the wrong here? However, Amy's depression doesn't justify her actions, and it's troubling that she might interpret offers of help as manipulation. Her therapist would unlikely advise that asking how to help is manipulative. While my husband is correct that I shouldn't miss out on a good time, it's also not unfair to anyone if I choose not to attend. Amy's behavior is concerning, and she might benefit from additional therapy or psychiatric help. This situation seems less like depression and more like her being a cry bully, picking fights, than playing the victim when challenged. It's baffling how she has managed to sway opinions in her favor by portraying herself as the victim. Despite this, I might still consider going to the party. Amy seems to want me to stay away, possibly due to jealousy over more than just my casserole-making skills. I could bring a new dish that everyone will enjoy. This conflict appears to be a one-sided war in Amy's mind, and when nobody prefers her casserole, she might realize that the lack of competition doesn't automatically make her the best.